Karl is company's long-standing president since Davey Tree became employee-owned in 1979. That may be a title. He has held the 3 titles, chairman, president, and CEO, both individually and collectively, for the total of 15 years. As such, he is a testimony to the philosophy of employee ownership, where you could start at the ground level and work your way up, especially if you're in a company where the promotion is from within and you invest in the employee ownership personality. As a committed advocate for employee ownership, Karl also serves as the director of another national employee-owned company. He advises them on how to best sustain, communicate, and leverage employee ownership. Today, he wants to share with you some of his experiences with 35 years of employee ownership at the Davey Tree Company. Karl.
Thank you very much, Roy, and thank you, Kathleen, for the kind comments. The volume wasn't quite turned up enough on that music there, but I don't know if you all heard that, but it kind of reminds me of a action-packed adventure show, a movie from the 60s. And last night, as I was working on fine-tuning the presentation here, I was having a little trouble staying awake, so I just blared that music, and it got me revved up. But did anybody see the Akron Beacon Journal about a week ago or so? They did a very nice job. For those of you not from this area, it is the local newspaper, and they did a very nice job of promoting this conference, the Employee Ownership Conference. But they also had in there some of my excerpts of what I thought were excerpts from my presentation. And they gave excruciating detail on what I was going to present. And I thought, oh no, everybody's going to get up and walk out and they're going to migrate to their iPhones and start texting and so forth. But please don't do that, because what you're going to get is the color commentary. And you're going to get the pretty pictures, all of these things that the Beacon didn't get. But just a word about the Beacon Journal. Excellent newspaper. Very business friendly, very supportive of business, and a real asset to this community. But in any event, as Roy mentioned, what a group. I was looking at the roster there of the attendees, and a very eclectic group. We have ESOP experts, we have regional growth development organizations, we have political dignitaries and their assistants or representatives. We have bankers, we have trust managers, we have lawyers, we have universities. We have farmers, we have brewers, we have bakers, and we have cardboard box makers. We've got everything here, and it's amazing. And we span from Maryland to California. Geographic disbursement, just wonderful, wonderful organization. If you can't find the solution to your problems here today, you've got some big problems. I do feel honored to be asked to come and share the Davey Tree Expert Company's employee ownership experience, the journey that we went through for 35 years. It's been a privilege to be a part of that journey and to be a part of the company. It's a successful organization that owes all of its success and its ongoing success to the thousands of employee owners that we have at the company. That's really where the success comes from. And I'd like to focus my comments in this presentation on just that. It refers to the Davey, it will refer to the Davey Company. I am not an ESOP expert. I am not an employee ownership expert. But what I am pretty good at is understanding the employee ownership formula and what works for the Davey Tree Company. And I'm going to tell you right up front, I'm not promoting our style, our structure of employee ownership. I'm telling you it is one way to go. We pretty much ran the gambit over 35 years of all different types, from ESOP to just outright common shares and employee ownership. But today I want to focus on the people, because people is what makes it happen. How you engage them, how you leverage that potential that the people you have working for you right now possess. So with that, let's take another look at, a quick look at why we're here. We have shared interests, and we all have the desire to lead and build a successful company, correct? Everybody in here, or help others to do so. That's why we're here. We all have the belief that employee ownership has a real place in the business environment today. But one thing I want to focus on a little bit, and this is more of a question, and this is the differentiator. Do we all have a sincere commitment to the people that we work with and the people that work for us? Do we have a sincere commitment to their individual growth, career path? Do we have a sincere commitment to their desire to make a difference in our company, to contribute value, something significant? And do we have a sincere commitment to their future, their family, their quality of life? This is the differentiator, and we have to really think about this. And I'm not going one way or another. I'm just going to try to help you think about this throughout the presentation. These are strong. This is what builds a strong ownership culture. Let's take a look now, just give you a quick overview of the culture and the capabilities of the Davey Tree Expert Company.
Davey's not just a tree care company. In fact, we do much more than that. We're a people company. Our people have taken our research and hard-earned experience to new heights, grown our company to its stable leadership position in the industry, and forged valuable relationships with our clients. The success of our brand is directly linked to the efforts of generations of dedicated employees. Davey's strongest assets are its employees. We have hundreds of locations across North America and provide a wide breadth of services, yet we operate as one connected company. Our story begins in 1880, when Englishman John Davey settled in Kent, Ohio, to explore his passion for tree care and landscape preservation as the caretaker of a local cemetery. He recognized the impact and benefit trees provide to our lives, which ultimately initiated the concept of tree care across North America. Soon, our roots spread to locations across the U.S. and Canada. Our residential division emerged and developed the ability to serve clients and the trees in their backyards throughout the urban and rural communities. Shortly after, our utility division was introduced and quickly obtained major clients along the east and west coasts. In the mid-60s, we developed a natural resource consulting division to enhance the urban forests of growing municipalities. Our commercial division came into existence in the early 80s and began relationships with prestigious corporate complexes, retail properties, golf courses, and government entities, many of which continue today. And our founders' keen interest in plant healthcare led to the creation of the Davey Institute, where scientists conduct and publish research, lead education and training programs, and offer technical support to our field operations and their clients. We still provide professional tree, landscape, and environmental services to every client, every time. Now, we're just bigger, better, and more efficient. We're constantly improving our ability to meet our clients' needs, but we do more than just care about trees, landscapes, and the environment. We care about the people, the business and government organizations and communities that are entrusted and value their trees and other green spaces.
So that's a little bit about our company. Now, in order to have an employee ownership, you need to do one of several things. You either start employee ownership, you migrate into employee ownership, or you buy a company, or you buy into employee ownership, and that's exactly what the Davey company did. Give you a quick timeline of how things happened. This all began back in 1977. Family announced the intention to sell the company. Immediately thereafter, proposals were in from an employee ownership group, outside entities, competitors. One of our board of directors wanted to buy the company. We even had a regional manager wanted to buy his division. So there's all sorts of proposals coming into the company. In 1978, after analyzing everything, the company and the board determined that the employee's offer was valid. I didn't say it was the best, but it was a valid offer, and they wanted to work with that. So we proceeded. Financing was secured, and then in 1979, the Securities and Exchange Commission approved the prospectus for the employee stock ownership plan, and the ownership of the company was then transferred to the employees. So that's how things, they went smoother than that. Than I showed you on the screen here. Something else is the company was valued at about $8 million at that time. That was the valuation given. We ultimately purchased the company for approximately $7.6 million. The family owned about 72% of the shares. The employees owned about 11% of the shares. Stock was valued at $22.50. About 340,000 shares were outstanding. Now, some of you here, I know, are doing the math, and you're saying, well, something's not working out. 72% and 11%. What happened to 13% of the shares? 17% of the shares. And see how shares are lost so easily. I have a little story about that. Some of these shares were former employees and no longer with the company, and the family did give them some shares. Some of these shares slipped out to friends of the family. A number of these shares, and it is not documented how many, were lost at the poker table on Friday nights. And then there was another group of shares that were used for bartering purposes. And we sort of used that to buy things and services and whatnot. And I'd like to share with you one little story. And the last family member that was involved with the company and was CEO of the company sometime back in probably the early 60s decided he wanted to buy a car. So he went to a local car dealer. And the owner of the car dealer and said, look, here's what I want to do. I'd like to buy that car and I'll trade you dollar for dollar. Davey shares, Davey stock for that new car. Well, we figured that car cost about $3,500. That's basically what we thought it was. So the gentleman, the Davey family member, swapped him the shares, equivalent of $3,500. Well, it was about 9, 10, maybe 11 years ago. All of a sudden, we got a call from the estate of this deceased auto dealer, the owner, and they had these Davey shares, and they wanted to call on those. They wanted to cash them in. Make a long story short, we paid out $2.3 million. And we laugh, we say that has to be the most expensive Ford that was ever purchased. So that just is a tribute to the success of the company and what the employees have done. A little bit about the purchase structure. And I'll go over this briefly. Davey secured the loan for about $12.5 million. We had to have that for operating expenses to pay down our revolver and a few other things, capital expenditures. Also, out of that $12.5 million came $5 million, which was used to repurchase stock. The trust was then established, and in the trust had to be funded. We put $3.5 million. That was used to buy stock back from the family. And the way that works, you buy the stock back from the family, it goes into the trust. The Davey company must secure the loan for that trust. So as Davey paid off the loan, the trust would release these shares to the, then back to the employees. So that was established. And then the prospectus for the plan was established and developed. And one interesting thing here, in order for this whole deal to work, it was mandatory from a financial standpoint, because we just simply couldn't get the financing. It was mandatory that the employees buy 60,000 shares back from the family. That was part of the deal. We couldn't work it without doing that. So the employees had to leverage, the wives went to work, the husbands went to work, they leveraged their houses, did whatever they had to do. 1,800 letters went out to field employees and management and said, here's the deal, we're going to buy this company, you have to step up. 1,800 letters. They allocated 120,000 shares. Now, the minimum, and the banks wouldn't even agree to go one step further unless we hit the minimum of 60,000 shares sold. Out of the 1,800 letters that went out, 119 people stepped up to the plate at various at various levels, and they actually sold 64,000 shares. So he snuck in just under the minimal requirement, and the deal was able to go forward. One other important point here, if you'll note at the bottom, this is M.L. Davey Jr. It was imperative. We couldn't have done this deal either unless he had left his shares in the company. He had 65,000 shares, about $1.6 million. He had to leave those in there. The companies set up a side agreement. They would pay him back later. They would buy his shares at a later date. And there was a number of covenants with this agreement. Well, he left his shares in. The company was able to buy shares 2 years earlier than was anticipated. In other words, 4 years. And in that time, he realized an appreciation on his stock value of about 45%. So he was well rewarded for leaving his shares in, and it goes to show really where this employee ownership and care and concern for employees came from. They came right from the top from the beginning. Incidentally, this is the guy riding around in a $2.3 million Ford. There's a message that you have to send with employee ownership, and there is no compromise. You cannot waffle when you're trying to push and sell and create an employee ownership culture. The message has to be an unwavering commitment to the dedicated employees. You have to make that message clear. The company will support you and commit to you if you are a dedicated employee. The company must have a long-term vision if you're getting into the type of employee ownership that we are involved with. You can't look at a 3-year, a 5-year, maybe not even a 10-year. For us, it's a lifetime. It's a career. It goes indefinitely, and that's the way we feel about it today, even 35 years after being in the program. Long-term. The type of people you want to attract are the type of people that are looking for some stability in their life and long-term employment. Everyone can own stock. You have to get that message. It's not just for the select few. In our structure, everybody can own stock. And finally, employee shareholders are who we work for. We do not work for a faceless corporation. We do not work for a family. We work for ourselves. We work for each other. Totally different approach. But what do we expect for that? And we hold no, there are no holds barred here. We expect company loyalty. We expect our people to be dedicated and committed to the Davey company. We expect them to provide unequaled service, everything they've got. And we expect them to work collaboratively as one. We will work as one, we will win as one, we'll take whatever consequences as one. That's important. That's what we expect. Not a cloak and dagger type organization, very open. And finally, and last but not least, it is not a dirty word, profit. Our type of employee structure requires consistent, reasonable profits. Not a lot. I'll show you some of the financials. We are not, we're not a high-tech company. We're not a medical company. We don't have those high margins, but we expect consistent, reasonable profits. You can't have this type of an organization. You can't sustain employee ownership and offer the stock and to have the equity ownership unless you have that type of profit and continuous growth. But it drives us. So the game changer are people, the people that you have out there. It's who you hire, it's how you integrate them and engage them. Give them something that's meaningful. Let them know that let them feel like they bring value to the organization. And what type of culture do you create? Is it an open, a family type culture? Very important. But people are going to be the game changer for you. Let's do a little quick thing here on employees' perspectives. We frequently go out and ask to keep our finger on the pulse of our employees who are scattered all over North America, and I think you'll be interested in some of their perspectives.
Our world started with trees, but it didn't stop there. While it's true we provide more services than anyone in the industry, that's not what makes Davey different. It's our perspective. It's our culture. It's our employee owners. Nearly 100 years after John Davey founded the company, the Davey family decided to sell the business that had become the foundation of the industry. And on March 15, 1979, Davey became an employee-owned company.
Employee ownership definitely gives you something to work for. It's not just a job when you combine to the company.
As we celebrate 35 years of employee ownership and look forward to reaching future milestones, Davey's employee owners are empowered by the research they pursue, the resources they provide, and the relationships they build. They're passionate about the work they perform every day, and they're dedicated to client satisfaction. We recognize employees value the opportunity to own the Davey Company. It's an opportunity all employees have, no matter their title or location.
Employee ownership means so much more. Clients have more pride in the work Davey performs on their properties.
Davey is a great place to work. As for employee ownership, I love it. I believe in it.
I never knew much about stock, let alone purchasing stock. But as I'm starting to think ahead to retirement, I think it's awesome. It's a great opportunity.
As one Davey mechanic says, when you're getting a piece of the company, you respect other employees and the equipment and tools you use to do your job. You're part of the bigger picture.
With its employee owners, Davey feels more like a big family, and I work harder for my family.
Davey is rooted in employee strength, and we continue to define employees' passion for our natural environment, the clients we serve, and the unwavering commitment to Davey 35 years into our employee ownership and beyond. To echo the words of a 28-year Davey employee, what it all boils down to is this: it's our company.
So that's firsthand from the folks in the field. I want to emphasize something. We are not perfect. Employee ownership is not perfect. Everybody, 7,400 people out there are not the ideal employees, okay? We all have problems. But we think by really focusing on the employees, we're ahead of the game. Here's a little bit of what the employees have done over 35 years, what the employee shareholders have done over the 35 years. There you see some of the basics in 1979 at the time of acquisition. Revenues, operating profit, assets, and so forth. Number of employees down at the bottom. Here's what we are projecting for this year. And revenues up, obviously, a lot. Gained about $700 million over the last 35 years in revenues. The operating profit is up. You notice we look at the percentage that indicates the quality of those earnings, and our 6.4%, while not the high water mark that we've hit, is well within where we need to be. Cash flow is a little bit down, very close to where it normally is, in the 9% range. We are doing a lot of acquisitions lately. We've had an appetite for cash. And our shareholder equity up significantly, assets up significantly, long-term debt actually a little bit lower as a percent. I'm using this as a percent of sales, not always the best indicator, but it's relevant and relative to 79, and our employee count is up to 7,400. So that's what employee ownership has done. Those are the results of, and I believe I attribute so much of that to the business model that we have with employee ownership. Now, with employee ownership, you know, it's all about stock, and the stock is our final grade. It's our final scorecard. It tells us how well we've done as far as our skill level. It tells us about our judgment, our effectiveness, and our execution. Have we been doing these things? Have we been communicating? And are we treating our people? Are we getting the most out of the employees in the company? That's what the stock price represents. Here's a little bit about our stock. And something I think as you get more involved with that, things that we have learned that are very important. Employees need flexibility when it comes to buying, selling, and stock transactions. You have to give them flexibility. You box them in, and suddenly they're unsure, they're uncomfortable, and you're going to lose some of your potential employee shareholders. There's a couple of ways to give them the latitude, but I think the important thing is the restrictions. Keep the restrictions to an absolute minimum as much as you possibly can. And as far as confidence, this is extremely important. I think it's whether you're in public markets or just your internal stock. But first of all, the stock needs to be kept affordable. If you got a guy out there in the field, and we have payroll deduction plans, and he wants to buy stock, and all he can afford is $25, $35 a week, that's okay. But we don't want him getting, a quarter of a share every week. That's going to lose. He's going to lose interest on that, or a third of a share, or even a half a share. We want to keep it so that it's significant. When he takes money out, or she takes money out, they can, get something significant. So that's why we've had 5 splits over the 35 years. We had a 3-for-1, a 4-for-1, and 3 2-for-1 splits over those years to keep the shares. And usually we split that about, let's say, between $35 and maybe $40 per share. Keep it down there. The other thing that's absolutely important, if you want people to buy into your stock program, you've got to produce. You've got to have stock that's appreciating at or above, the markets. Now, we use the S&P 500 as sort of our benchmark, and I'll show you, how that's performed. But you can't expect employees to buy in if your earnings stream is up and down and stagnant, or and at about the same level, appreciating or not appreciating at the same level as the markets. It can't happen. Just from experience, we see this. And the other thing that is absolutely important, if you're not willing to invest in communications, and lots of those communications, and education for your employees regarding stock, how to manage their stock, some of personal finance and so forth, forget it. You're not going to get the total engagement that you want. Here's what 35 years of evolution have done in the big picture at the Davey Company with stock ownership, some of the facts. Now, these numbers are all in millions. We distributed 58 million shares over 35 years based on our growth. This is all split adjusted. Now, here's the bad part. You have to redeem a lot of shares, too. And we redeemed 45 million shares over the 35 years at a total value. This is an actual value, not in today's dollars or anything else. In today, an actual value, we redeemed 264.7 million. Now, that's a lot of value that's going out into the hands of employees. That's significant. That's meaningful. In addition, although internally we get ridiculed for our paltry dividend, it's like less than 2%, right around 2%, but nonetheless, we've distributed 51 million in dividends to the employees. All this within the company. And now we have about 65 current actual shareholders, 6,500 shareholders. Here's a few facts. I'll go over these very, very, very briefly. A couple ones I want to, highlight. The first one would be payroll deductions. Here's how we get stock. I'm often asked, how do you get stock out into the hands of the employees? We have at least 8, 9, maybe even 10 different ways that we get stock into the hands of the employees. One of the most attractive and gets a lot of attention is the very first one. See that, the payroll deductions up there? We allow people to have a payroll deduction. We offer the stock at a 15% discount, 85% of the value of that stock. That is a giveaway, 15%. All you have to do is come up with some money and you're already 15% ahead. Sometimes I wonder about that one, but it's very, very attractive, and it has worked very well for us. The other one I'd like you to look at here is the stock subscription. We sometimes have our limits. We've done 7 of these, 6 or 7 of these over the last 35 years, and you can buy as much as, in some cases, 30,000 shares. That would be the maximum that you could buy. So this is the opportunity. If you're going to leverage everything you got, I mean, you can buy 1,000 shares, or you can, and it's open to everybody in the company. No discount. But what we do is we'll finance that for the period. I think it's the 7 years that we finance the ESOP, or the stock subscription program at a very, very low rate. I think the last one we did was a few years back here, 5 years ago or so, and I think we were down around maybe 3% or something like that. You know, it's excellent. So that's another way we get large chunks of stock out to anybody that wants them. And then we have long-term incentive programs which include stock, like the performance restricted stock units, PRSUs. We have SARs, stock appreciation rights, and a number of things. So those are the vehicles for your information, ways in which we get the stock out. Speaking of performance, this is the performance of the stock, split adjusted. We've only had a couple of chinks in the armor, and the biggest one was, fortunately, when I was made president back in 1999. But what we did, we shot ourselves in the foot. We implemented a system-wide SAP program. Anybody familiar with implementation of SAP? Okay. Anyway, we did that. And we didn't know who we billed, how much we should bill, if we got the money back from them. Our systems were, it was a failure, the implementation of that system. Now, the bankers didn't like it. Obviously, our stock valuator didn't like it. And but we knew the fundamentals were sound, so we weren't worried about it. And we got that cleared up, and it's been an upward trend ever since then. But a very strong performance by our stock. And this is a slide I'd like to, I always enjoy showing. If you invested $100 in Davey Tree stock back in '79, what would it be worth today? Today, reinvesting those enormous dividends of 2%, it would be worth $21,200 today, that $100. If you invested that same $100 in the S&P 500 an index account and reinvested dividends, a very good return, it would be worth $5,200. So when I talked earlier about outperforming the markets, this is what we do. So, in conclusion, I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. I believe that success can be realized in a number of different employee ownership structures. And I don't know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, I applaud your efforts because I think you're on the right track, whether you're thinking about it or whether you're involved with employee stock ownership at any level. I believe it's a good thing. And if you want lasting rewards, if you want a lasting reward that comes only from working with very dedicated and loyal and committed people, take your organization to the next level of employee ownership. Go to the next level. And after that, go to the next level of employee ownership. Stay the course. I really encourage you to stay the course. It can be one of the most fulfilling accomplishments in your entire life. So I want to thank you for inviting me here, and I hope you can glean some helpful suggestions, some actionable items out of this little report, and I wish you the best. Thank you.